Hi, Paul from Contemporary Synth here. In these videos, we're trying to explore the functionality and the art associated with the Roland Fantom O series. Today I was playing the piano with the drums, accidentally. And I thought it sounded pretty cool, with the exception of the guiro and some of the other odd sounds. But it did make me think that this is something we could explore. With my choir at church, we do not do well with a metronome, and we do not do well with canned drum sequences, but we might be able to play with percussion on the keyboard. So I did a little work on figuring out how I might do this with a song, and I'll share that with you today. The song is going to be Anthem by Tom Conroy. We're going to sing that this Sunday for Pentecost. We may not use these drums with it, but maybe we will, who knows. I'll show you how I added them to the song, and then you can see what works for you. I'm in an initial scene, and I'm going to put the drums in channel 4. But instead of using the regular drum kit, which uses the sounds that I was just playing, I'm going to use a user-assigned kit. Here's another way to look at that. These are the normal drums that you would use with the kits that you'd recognize. After that, over here in button 15, you have the ability to assign a user tone to the whole keyboard like a piano sound. But this last section, user drum, where it says assign over here, allows you to put a different wave or different tone on every single key. That's incredibly powerful, and I'll show you how that works today. I'm going to start with the initial kit. Remember, you would have to save this kit and then save the scene if you wanted to recall this later. With the initial kit, every key is a kick drum. Because the song I'm going to play is in the key of D, I'm going to put a different drum on each of the notes of that major chord and then play it along with the song, and you'll see how it goes. So I'm going to leave the kick on the low D, and I'm going to put a snare on the A above that, which is A2. Notice on the screen how each key has its own setup. So for this A, I'm going to turn off the second partial, and now I'll find the tone that I want. You're going to see there are a lot of tones in here.
Yeah. Woo! Come on.
I don't know that those are all going to work for Anthem, but it gives you a lot to think about. For example, imagine if you set your normal piano sound to stop 5 or 6 keys from the end. You could add all of these feature or certain feature sounds to those keys down there and use those as accents while you're playing live. It's an interesting notion. All right, the snare I want is number 687. And I'm going to punch it up a bit. And the next thing I want is on the high, or on the F sharp 2, I want a crash cymbal. This is harder than it looks because the crash cymbals aren't great. The number I went with was 827, holding shift to scroll more quickly. None of the cymbals sound great. So I just picked one, and then I will adjust it in the settings here. This is the low pass filter that blocks some of the high frequencies from coming through. I'm going to change that so more can get through, because that's what we want. And not only that, I'm going to push the frequencies that come through to make it even brighter. And then I'm going to go to the amplitude envelope and let that play out a little more. And I'm going to lower it in front so it's not quite as loud when it comes in. All right. So far, so good. The next thing I want is, up in the high D, is a tambourine for during the verse. Tambourine is going to be 925. All right, and that also I'm going to push up. All right, and then the last thing I want is on the high F sharp here, F sharp 3, I'm going to put a cross stick. And that one's going to be 713. All right, now let's turn the piano on. Starting to take shape. I don't need the drums up here. Remember, these are all kick basses until I turn them, assign them to be something else. So I'm going to limit the kit to only going up to this high. All right, to put a little more energy in the top, I'm going to add an electric piano to zone 3. And this just adds some texture to the piano. If you're a piano guy, as I am, I feel it's a good exercise to experiment with other tones and get more familiar with them so that everything doesn't sound the same. I thought this. So let's put piano. So here's piano alone and piano and electric piano. So it adds a little meat, a little texture. All right, and then the last thing I want for the final refrain, I'm going to add a pipe organ. Pipe organs are here. Church pipes or cathedrals are all fine. What I do want on that is a little release. So I'll turn on the main EQ by doing control and turning the knob. I could also have done that with the button on the screen. Add some release, which puts a little sustain on there so it's not quite as percussive. And then put all three together. Every now and then you miss the Fantom 8. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll start with the piano, electric piano and drums, with the tambourine for the refrain. Then I'm going to move to the kick and cross stick for the verse. And then when it comes to the final refrain, I'll use the snare and the crash cymbal along with the organ. All right, make sure my levels are all okay. Okay? Let's try the song. Start with the organ off. We are called, we are chosen, we are Christ for one another. We are promised to tomorrow, while we are for Him today. We are sign, we are wonder, we are sower, we are seed. We are harvest, we are hunger, we are question, we are creed. Then where can we stand justified? In what can we believe? In no one else but Christ who suffered, nothing more than Christ who rose, who was justice for the poor, who was rage against the night, who was hope for peaceful people, who was light. We are called, we are chosen, we are Christ for one another. We are promised to tomorrow, while we are for Him today. We are sign, we are wonder, we are sower, we are seed. We are harvest, we are hunger, we are question, we are creed. All right, well, I hope that gives you some ideas. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.